Joined by University of Central Oklahoma softball player Terin Ritz, the hero of Friday night's game. Terin, thank you for taking time to talk to me. Could you start by telling the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Terin. I'm from Edmond, Oklahoma. I went to Deer Creek High School, and I'm a freshman this year. So,
Okay. Your high school career is pretty storied. I was just looking through a little bio they have on you on Bronchos Sports. A lot of strikeouts, a lot of home runs,
yes.
a lot of honors. So I have to ask, when you first started as a freshman at Deer Creek, did you envision having the career that you ended up having?
And take all of that to the field. And my sister had played there before me, and she's like, just go in there with like, you can do this. And that's what I did all the way from freshman to senior year.
You think about being a strong leader. What does that mean to you? Like, what all did that entail?
Like being a strong leader is like, it's not like just leading by like example on the field. It's like being able to like pick up people even when you're not doing well, and be able just to have everyone's back. And if someone needs something, you'll always be there. But it's like everyone says, like it's like leading by example, but it really is like how you show yourself on the field and off the field as a person.
And then, obviously, to have the number success you had, there has to be talent. But like, what behind the scenes, all the work, what all do you do to be able to perform at such a high level?
Well, it's been a lot being a pitcher and hitting and playing first base. It's not, you don't just go in and like practice and then go home. It's a lot of getting there early, doing extra bullpens, doing the extra hitting. And then when I was in high school, I would do, I had a personal trainer, and then I would do lessons, and then I would go to my team practice. And then you have to, not even on like the like physical side, you have to also like think about like what you're eating and got to take care of yourself. So it was a lot, but it helped me get to where I am today.
Because you mentioned you played 3 positions. So like, how do you balance? I mean, that's gonna be a lot.
Yeah. Well, this is like, whenever like UCO recruited me, they're like, we know you can do all of these things. Like, we want you to. And I was like, okay, like I can do them all. So it's very like, because I'm the only one on our team, and I have been like for a while, that pitches, hits, and plays first. But it's you have to find a schedule, and you've got to balance it out, and just know that you signed up for this. Like, you've got to work for it and do it. So I've been doing it since I was a kid, so it's like kind of used to it. But there's a lot of people who are like, I don't know how you can do that, and I'm like, well, it takes a lot of, you got to have the right like mental side, and just know that you can do it, and you can't pressure yourself in any of them.
But like through the course of a season, because right now you all are at almost like 60 games. So like
Yeah.
through the course of a season, how do you manage that? It seems like an awful lot to try to balance.
Yeah, well, this season was actually a little bit different because you probably don't know, but I actually broke my ulna in my forearm in March. So I was out for 6 weeks and couldn't pitch, couldn't do anything. And I just got released right before our conference tournament. And so all I can do right now is hit. But like next season, I'll be doing all of them. But even before that, before I got hurt, it was like balancing. It'd be like, you like, you're starting this game, like make sure you're ready. And it's like, oh, I'm hitting also. So it's like balancing all of those. But it's like, I've always put trust in myself to know I can do all of them. So I've never seen myself and been like, oh, like this is hard, like you can't do this. It's always been like you can do this, like you prepared yourself to do this in every moment. So
Okay, and I'm glad you mentioned the injury, because I thought you were injured and wasn't
yes.
sure and wasn't about to look back. So what was that process like, getting back into the field after your injury?
So the process was, it was a little difficult because it happened out of nowhere, or not even nowhere. It had been bothering me for a little bit, and we were in pregame going to play, I think it was Washburn, and I threw a ball, and I was like, that did not feel right. And I immediately was like, I can't hold my arm. So I went to the doctor the next day, and I had a stress fracture in it. And so I was out for about 6 weeks, and I was doing rehab, doing treatment. And then as soon as I got released, I was hitting, like I would go in before and hit, I would hit during like practice, and then I would stay after. So I was hitting probably like at least 2 to 3 hours a day just so I was like, I want to get back in the lineup so I can produce and do everything for my team that I can.
Okay, and then so you mentioned that your sister played. Was there is there any added pressure, I guess, following in her footsteps now?
It's kind of like this is like she had what was it? She tore her ACL, and that's why I would have actually gotten to play with her for a year, but she medically retired because it was just her knee was hurting so bad, and I was like you take care of your health. But following in her footsteps, it was more of I was trying to be the leader that she was, because she was someone that could always go and pick up anybody, and she would always be there for any teammate. So I've tried to follow in her footsteps, but she set a very high example on how to be a teammate, and I'm still learning day by day how to be like who she was on and off the field. So
And then as a freshman, you come in and obviously you have a big role. You started a bunch. What? Because not many freshmen can just walk through the door and then just start, and then So what was the adjustment period like for you taking that step from high school to college?
Well, so it was a lot different than I would expect, but I've known the coaches since I was a freshman in high school. That's when they took me on my first visit. And I've always been like very like open, and I'm like a hardworking person. I try to be. So that step was like you don't just get to like walk in. It was still like a work for that spot and earn it. And I did everything that I could, and I would stay after and ask them like help on different stuff. But it was very different, more than I was expecting. But it it all worked out, and I now now I'm playing. So
What would you say was the hardest adjustment?
Probably trying to find a schedule for pitching, hitting, and playing first. That was difficult because it was like you'd have a bullpen at 2 o'clock. I'd get out of class at 1:50, have to make it to the field and be throwing, and then after bullpen, I would have to go practice, do like a full practice, and our pitchers would usually be like recovering and stuff. So it was like wasn't much like off time that you would say, but it was like having to find that balance and still stay like I don't even know the word is still trying to stay like hard working through all three of them.
So when do you rest?
Not much, not much. I will say that. Not much at all. It is like on our off days, I am sleeping in, going to treatment, and then going back up to the field the next day, but not much rest time, but it's become a process.
And then so as a pitcher, there's so many games. How do you kind of manage your arm, because you're throwing like obviously in game, throwing in practice? That's a lot of throws. That's a lot of wear
Yeah.
and tear. So how do you manage that?
Well, our trainer, I've become like such good friends with her. And so like anything I need, she'll always be there. And I'll be like, so it's a lot of like going in before practice and doing like treatment to warm it up. And then after practice, getting ice, and then coming in the next day and doing our rehab and stuff just so my arm stays as healthy as it can. So
And okay, so you play three positions. Now what to you is the hardest part about each of the positions that you play?
um well, that's hard. First base is hard, more of for me, because sometimes I'll be throwing like bullpens and then I'll get over there and it's like I don't know what we've like had been doing, so I don't know what play we're on. So it's like trying to like remember all the plays and like our different like numbers and stuff. So when I get in there, it's not like I'm like, hey, what are we doing? Like I don't know. And they'll be like, this is what we're doing. I'm like, okay. So that's probably the hardest part with hit or first base. Pitching, it was kind of hard at first because it's like you're coming in and all these hitters are good. And so you've got to like stay mentally strong and try and hit your spots as well, be able to spin the ball and do what you can. And then hitting is very difficult because you're going to fail. Like there's not a time that you're not going to do you're always going to fail in any of them. But hitting is very like you have to stay, even if like you go 0 for 2 on the day or 0 for 4, you have to stay like I can do this. It's a new day. It's a new game. Like that game doesn't matter anymore, and you've got to move on to the next game.
Okay, so as a batter, so like when you kind of have that slump, I know some people it can get in their head, it can get them down. How do you kind of battle that and keep your confidence up?
For me, I have a few like there's one of my teammates, I've known her since I was like 12, and she's always been someone if she can tell that I'm struggling, she'll come up to me and just be like, "Hey, like calm down, do what you always have been able to do and just hit the ball." And so it's like it sucks being in a slump because you can't there's not much you can do to get out of it. It's like you're trying your hardest to get out of it, but it's you're telling yourself like I can do this, I can hit the ball. If I don't hit it this time, like I'm going to get it this next time. But it's more of staying so mentally strong and knowing that you can do it so you can do it the next time.
Okay, so now your first start. Talk me through like what was the emotions? Were there nerves? Were you like, no, I got this, I know what to do? What was that experience like?
That first start, I was if I had a watch on, my heart rate would have probably been like at 150, honestly. Like my heart was like going so crazy because so our first game we were in Houston and I don't remember the team we were playing exactly, but I remember my first at bat, there was two outs, runners on second and third in the first inning. And it's like we had to score and I was like got up there and my hands are shaking and I'm like calm down, hit the ball, and I got a line drive and we scored. But it was like so like this is what you've worked for, but you get up there and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is happening right now. Like what do I do? And so there were so many emotions and nerves going into that day, but they finally cooled down now, so it's not as my nerves aren't like that anymore. But it was very stressful.
Okay, so then Friday when I wrote it down, I want to put it. So when you had run scoring hits in the sixth and the eighth, both on full count pitches with two outs. So at that point, given the previous experience of your first start and the season, were there nerves at that point, or were you cool under pressure? I got this. I know what I'm gonna do. We're gonna win this thing. Like, what was there? What was that like?
Um, so both of those at bats, I went in and I was like, just hit the ball. Like I told myself, I was like, stay calm. Like you can do this. This is something that you've done before. Like this isn't something that's like, oh my gosh, like crazy. And I told myself that. So when I hit the first ball, I got to second and I was like, oh my gosh, like I just put us up in the game. Like we could go to supers now off of that hit. And then they ended up coming back and tying it. So then the second time in the bottom of the eighth, I was a little bit more nervous, but I was like you just did it. You just had an RBI double off this girl. You can do it again. So I like as soon as I got in the box, I was telling myself like you're better than her. Like you can hit the ball and you can produce. And when I hit that ball up the middle, I was literally like I started immediately bawling. I started crying and I was like, this is what I've worked for so hard to even like being injured through season and getting back and just doing that to send my team to the super regionals was absolutely amazing.
Because I saw the video, I seen the photo, but like in that moment for you all, what was that? What was that? What was that like? Well, I feel like it had to be kind of surreal, but
Yes.
happy, relief. So like, what all were you all feeling at that time?
I was so happy. Like, I don't think I've ever been that happy in a moment because it was like there was my teammates were like have been there for me since I like was injured and they've always been behind my back and they're like, you can do this, like you've got this. And as when we went into the dog pile, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is happening. Like we're going to super regionals. And it was like such a surreal moment for everybody because we've worked so hard to get to where we are and getting to the super regionals was just like it was like a full circle moment because it's like we worked so hard for this even from the first day in the fall when we stepped on campus and it all finally just showed in that moment.
Okay, okay. Let's think. Okay, now if you had to choose now out of the three positions, which one personally to you is your favorite?
Probably hitting, honestly. I love hitting so much. I love it so much.
So what is it about hitting that you put above first in pitching?
Um, I love hitting for like I love like just like on or when we played Augie, just like those moments are like so like they're so special to me, and I like they've had them before, but like those moments always like have me like by the heart. And I love pitching. I love it to death, but it's like hitting is just like something that's like it's almost like you get to take your anger out on a ball, literally. And it's like you just literally do what you do, and it's like I don't even try and think when I'm hitting. So that's why it's always been like my favorite thing even since I was young.
So then, would you say a home run is more satisfying than a strikeout?
Yes, to me it is. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, speaking of strikeouts, so your first college strikeout, what was the emotion, or what were you like stoic trying to hold it in, like
I
nah,
was
I knew it was gonna happen,
I was
or
trying well, I was like, hold it in. Like as soon as I like struck that girl out, I was like, hold it in. Don't show that you have any emotion. But I wanted to jump up and scream, and like I was like, I want to throw this ball and like keep it forever because it was like, oh my gosh, like that was your first college strikeout. But it was crazy. I was trying to just not show any emotion at all, but I think I did. So I think I definitely did because our catcher was like, "You good?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine."
oh, that's great. That's so that you're playing softball in a state that is softball crazy. I would suggest. I mean, there's really good softball all over. So like, what does it mean to you to be playing in a time where softball now is like not only popular, but I feel like is respected now, whereas that might not have necessarily been the case in the past.
Honestly, it's great. Like not even for like it's amazing for everybody who plays softball because it's like softball's pretty hard and like the stuff we go through, the practices and the training and stuff, and just seeing that like softball's become such a well-respected sport in the past few years, it's surreal because it's like I've been playing the sport since I was 4, and it was more of a like a oh, like I'm gonna play this sport for fun. And now it's like it almost feels like a job, but it doesn't because it's like I come in and it's like there's not a day where it's like, oh, like I'm here to play softball again. Like here we go. It's like I get the advantage. I get to play this sport, and I'm just so grateful that I get to in this time or this time.
Um. Okay. Well, before I get you off here, I do this with every new guest. Get to know you questions. Your favorite musical artist?
Ooh, that's hard. Probably Morgan Wallen. Morgan Wallen or Zach Bryan. Both of them are really good.
Okay. Well, like if you had to choose.
Probably Morgan Wallen. Yeah,
Okay.
I would most definitely be him.
Okay. Okay. Favorite sports team, regardless of sport.
Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, your favorite hobby outside of softball.
Oh, that's hard. I've never thought about that. Um, I don't know because I've never done anything like other than softball. Literally, that's so bad. I've started to get into reading, but that's not like something like huge. I've started reading, trying to get into it because it's like I don't know when I'm going to be able to like. Usually every summer I'm playing a sport, but I'd probably say reading right now. I've started to get into it.
So okay, so now what genre are we looking at?
Honestly, anything right now because I don't know exactly what I like yet. So it's like I'm just like looking up like good books and trying to find something. I like thrillers, like psychological thrillers right now.
Okay, okay. Favorite TV show?
Probably Stranger Things or Criminal Minds. Both of them
Okay,
are at the very top for me.
okay. See, favorite food?
Probably it's steak or ribs. Yeah, actually, I'd probably go ribs.
Ribs. Okay, okay. Well, now since you mentioned steak, how do we eat the steak? Do we get it medium rare, well done? How we eating the steak?
Honestly, this sounds bad. I don't know because my dad usually just makes it and I just eat it. And I'm like, okay, that's good. I'm like, that's really good. I don't know what it is. Like, I just know it's a steak. It's so bad. But I never order steaks at restaurants. I only like them pretty much when my dad or my grandpa makes them. So it's like he just makes it, and I'm like, okay, that's good. But literally, that's it.
Let's see. Okay, you have any pregame rituals or routines that you normally do?
Not really. I used to be I would wear eye black every single game. That was in high school, but then I got to college and it was like, I was like, I don't want to stain the jersey. And I always would wipe it with my jersey. I'd be like wiping it and be like, oh, that's not good. But probably just like listening to like good music or something. So I like get in that like game mode, honestly.
So now, is it like a playlist that you have, or is it just kind of like a feel of the moment thing?
Kind of a feel of the moment, just kind of what sounds good to me in that moment.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I guess so. To people who might not yet have seen you all play or really understand how good you all are, what would you say to those people to come out and support you all, not only this week in Claremore against Rogers State, but moving forward? What would you say to those people?
Honestly, like if you're looking for something that like isn't like slow and you want something like want to watch something that's like high speed, I would like come to the games. Like we have so many people that are coming to our games now, and it just the like environment is crazy. Not even for like just the team, but like all the parents. It's just everybody's into every moment because every pitch, every hit matters in that moment.
Well, Taryn, I appreciate you taking time this afternoon to come on. Obviously, I'm wishing you all the best of luck. Hopefully, you all can get it done, and then we move on. And we're playing for a natty, and so But I'm more than happy to come back on again at any time. I'm gonna try to do try to do more with you all. The Twitter page follows me on Twitter, and you all support me. So I need to get up with it. I haven't been as I should have. So, but we're gonna try to make up for that. So, I wish you all the best of luck, and I appreciate you taking time to come on.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.